So we're now in lesson 4, and we're going to solve for unknown angles. And you're looking at this first page going, hey, those are segments. We're not going to worry about those. But what this page does is just showing what kind of statements we can make. So first it says that CD plus BC, okay, so we're talking about this entire thing, is that equal to BD? Yeah, it is. Okay, so by drawing on it, I could see that. Now this one says AB plus BD is equal to CD plus AD. Okay, so is this one, adding those two segments, the same as adding the entire thing plus this little segment? No, because we didn't, this is the entire thing, so that one doesn't work. Now, AC, and you just have to watch this one. If you're like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with this, just watch it. Okay, AC, so this entire thing, this right here, AC, and now we're going to take off AB. Well, what is that equal to? That's equal to BC, so I took the whole thing and subtracted off a part. What do I have left? I have BC, not AB, I just took that off. So that one doesn't work. Now we have BD, so BD, and I'm going to subtract off CD. So all I have left is BC here, because I took off CD, so I'm going to write that down. Now I have AC, and I'm going to take off AB. So what do I have left? I have BC left. Okay. Oops, sorry. So that one works. Okay, so that's just showing you on segments. What we're going to actually look at today is, of course, angles. And we're going to write directly on these so that we can see it. And that's the easiest way to do it, is to write directly on them. Match each figure to an equation. So we have figures up here and equations down here, and we're going to match them up. And the easiest way to do matching is always figure out what's going on up here, so then we just match, okay? For each match, explain how you know they are a match. So here we go. We're going to look at A. And A, what kind of angles are those? Well, look at these. We have this angle right here, and this angle right here, okay? What kind of angles are those? Do you see how they make a V? Pretty wide V, but they make a V. These are vertical angles. Okay, and what do we know about vertical angles? Vertical angles are congruent. Okay, so these are equal in measure, right? So angle G, well, it's not really an angle. It's just talking about the degrees. So G is equal to H. That's all we can say, is G is equal to H. Okay? Now, if you're anxious about these back down here, we can look at them. Okay, so which one is that? That's A. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're basically going to write equations every time we get to it, just so we get used to it. So look at this one now on B. We have that this angle is G, and, sorry, I just said G and that's an H. And this angle is G. Okay, and what do I know about this angle? And again, you're still probably getting used to this. You're going, Phipps, that's a line. Well, that line, remember, is an angle. That is a straight angle. And a straight angle equals how many degrees? 180 degrees. Let me go back here for vertical. Remember that vertical angles are equal. So vertical angles are equal. Okay, vertical angles are equal. So straight angle, vertical angles. Okay, so here we go on this one. If the whole thing is 180 degrees, that means I would add these two together, right? So this gives me G plus H is equal to 180. Now, when we look at that, since these two angles equal 180, that means they're supplementary. They don't ask us for that, but I just want to keep reassuring and reiterating some of those concepts. So those have to equal 180. Okay, so let's look at our things. We have G plus H equals 180. G plus H equals 180. That's B. Do we have any others that look like that? Nope. So we keep going. Now C. Wow, we have a lot of things going on here. So what you're going to do is you're going to realize, what can I pick up? So this angle right here is G. it is a vertical angle with this part and only this part. Okay, so what we do is if this is G, that's also G. And we're going to always write those in so we can refer to it. Now what we're looking at is we're looking at this line. And this line is a straight angle. We just talked about that up here. A straight angle is 180 degrees. So this straight angle is 180 degrees. That means that this angle plus this angle plus this angle has to be 180 degrees, right? So we're going to write that. We have 35 plus G plus H is equal to 180. Okay? So notice you have to take all the parts, and it didn't tell me what that was, but I know these two have to be congruent because they're vertical angles. They have to be equal in measure. So here's our equation. 35 plus G plus H equals 180. 35 plus G plus H equals 180. So this one is C, because that matches up with our equation. Now, on your homework, you're going to have problems like each of these, but sometimes they're going to put other numbers in, and then you could actually solve the equation. Okay, so let's pretend on this one right here. We're going to pretend this is if we take this one, but instead of G, they tell us that H is, I don't know, 70. Yeah, that could work. So they tell us that. So our equation instead would be 35 plus G plus 70 is equal to 180. So what I did is I'm just pretending that they told me that angle H was 70, and I'm going to solve this equation. So the first thing I do is I notice that I have like terms. So I'm going to add those like terms together. So 35 plus 70 is equal to 105. Okay, now I have to solve for G, so that means I want to get rid of the 105, so I'm going to subtract 105 from both sides. This is just solving equations. And now that you know how to solve it, you're going to see them everywhere in math. They're just going to assume you know how to do that. When I subtract, I get 75. So if this problem, which I believe in your homework does, it gives you one of these other angles. And you just have to plug it into the equation. Okay, back to our current work. So what you always do is you look to see what you have. Okay, so here's what we know. We know that angle G is a vertical angle up here. So this is G. Okay? We also know this little symbol. Remember this little symbol? What does that mean? That's right. That little symbol means, hey, I'm 90 degrees. Then what we do is we realize these three angles make up this entire angle. So that means these three angles have to add to 90 degrees. So H plus G plus H equals 90. But look at this. These are like terms. 1H plus 1H gives me 2H. Okay, did you see what I did there? I wrote this out, but then I looked at it and said, hey, wait, these are like terms. They have the same variable, so I can add them together. And remember, this has a 1 in front of it, and this has a 1 in front of it. So 1H plus 1H is 2H. Okay, so let's see if that gives us one of our equations. Maybe it doesn't. Oh, yes, it does right there. That's D. Oh, we forget. Nope. Okay. Now, we know this has to be the last one, but we don't care about the matching. We care about understanding the concept. So we're going to look at this right here. Okay, we have three angles. We don't have any vertical angles, so we don't know anything there. But once again, there's that line, which means it's a straight angle, which means it's 180 degrees. So these three angles add to 180. So 48 plus G plus H equals 180 degrees. Okay, and that obviously is number 4, E. Now notice, I wrote mine in a different order, but order doesn't matter when it's addition. So just look for the same things. Okay, let's look at the summary. No? Yep, there it is. So, if we're going to write equations that represent the relationships between these. So we've done this 20 million times this morning. If I have this as an equation, okay, I have a straight angle, so I know these two add to 180. So x plus 42 is equal to 180. Okay, I know that because of straight angle. Ah, here we go. These, look at those V's. Look at that V. Those are vertical angles. They form a V. So 28 has to be equal to y, because vertical angles are always equal. Okay? Now, on this last one, I struggle with this a little bit because it doesn't actually give you enough information. In math, you cannot assume right angles. And so I'm kind of frustrated with this one right here, because it says, assuming the third pair of angles form a right angle. So they are assuming. Okay? That's wrong. But what they're saying is assume that this is a right angle. I'm hoping in the homework they don't do that. We'll check for it, because we should never assume in math. But what they're saying is we're going to assume that that's 90, so we can say z plus 64, excuse me, I need a plus sign there, is equal to 180. So I don't like that one. You shouldn't assume. They should tell you it's a right angle. I'm hoping they didn't do that in your homework. Okay, let's look at the homework now. So your homework is going to be, okay, your homework is page 29 through 31, and you're going to do number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 6. So let's look at those. Okay, M is a point on line segment KL. LM is a line segment also. Select all the equations that represent the relationship between the measures of the angles. Okay, so you cannot assume anything. Remember, this is a straight angle. So how many degrees is that? Look it up. That's a straight angle. Okay, and then you're going to go through and you're going to take things and see what can actually work. Okay, so just be very careful, and they start subtracting things. See, like this right here? What they're doing is they took an equation and they subtracted one off. Okay, so just watch for that. But can it be that one? They're not vertical angles. We're on a straight angle, so it's going to tell you your only options are going to be down here. So just think through what happened, just like I did with those segments. Okay, number 2 should be pretty straightforward. We did that one 20 million times. We have to write an equation for this. Look back at your notes if you're not sure on that one. Number 3, when you get to number 3, you need to start marking it up. Segments A, B, and E and intersect at a point. Angle ACD is a right angle. This is what they should have done in the summary. Okay, so ACD, and they marked it, is a right angle. So you're going to have to go through, that's 90, so therefore, what is this measure if it's on a side? Okay, so that's 90, and you're going to go that way. You're going to find the value of G, so this angle right here. So you don't even have to do all of that. Just look at what your 3 angles are on a straight angle. Okay. Then we're going to go to number 6. Number 6 is solving equations, because we can never have too much practice on this. And they give you fractions. Okay? Pull out that calculator. Your calculators all do fractions. So just pull out that calculator. Go through it the same way. Let's take one right now, though, and do it. So which one looks the worst? These are just decimals. You can do that. So let's take one of these. Let's just take this middle one. Nope, I'm going to take the far right one so I have enough room. So when I solve equations, I always want to work first with the number that doesn't have the variable on it, but on the same side. So here's my variable. Here's what's on the same side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that fraction. So draw your line. I'm going to get rid of that. I have a positive 2/3, so I'm going to subtract 2/3. And I'm going to do it to both sides. So I take out my calculator. And if you don't have this calculator, you have the other one, but it's in about the same spot. But there's a fraction button about right in that same spot on it. And it looks, I believe, like this. I don't have one right now. Something like that. But it gives you all 3 of the things. So just hit that button where I'm hitting this button. Okay? So here we go. We're going to take 3 halves. So turn it on. 3 fraction button 2. Arrow up. Minus 2 fraction button 3. And I get 5/6 is equal to 4/3 C. Okay, how is this connected? Multiplication, so you're going to divide by 4/3. Okay, you can do that, and I'm going to show you that on the calculator. But the other way you can do it is multiply by the reciprocal. So you can multiply by 3/4. Okay, either way, most of you are going to use a calculator. So I can multiply both sides by 3/4, or I can divide by 4/3. Okay? So, if I divide both sides by 4/3, I take on my calculator 5, fraction button 6, arrow over so that I have to have that cursor up here. Divide it by 4, fraction 3, and I get, what is that number? 5/8. So 5/8 is equal to C. Okay, good. Okay, so finish that assignment. You know what you're doing. And if you have questions, email me, whatever you need to. Find out the answer. Okay, thank you.